Welcome back, YouTube. Everyone's favorite section, Insurrection update. New and improved Insurrection update. No longer called Fascist update with a bunch of swastikas. Swastikas are bad, folks. Swastikas are so bad you can't even show them. All right, so I replaced the swastikas with something even more horrific. Hope you enjoy. And I just updated the fascist, symbol, boot on a face from the 1984 quote. I'm very clever. I'm a very clever man. No one's giving me credit for being clever, huh? If this was Destiny, everyone would be blowing my nutsack. Oh, he's so clever. Did you do that yourself, Destiny? Oh, wow, so clever. So subversive. I get dick. Dude, I get crickets, dog. Look at you. No one's even saying anything. Was I banned again? Banned again, wasn't I? Motherfucker sleeping. Over here snoozing. Wouldn't that be my fault? Isn't that my fault because I'm not keeping you entertained? Well, I have something to say to you. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? How about Nick Fuentes getting into a slap fight with a Nazi? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained yet? Oh, why is he wearing rain boots? Did Kanye West tell him to wear rain boots? Why are you wearing galoshes? Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
You just walk away.
You just walk away. Hey, Nick Fuentes, bitch boy. Open invitation. I will fucking rock your ass anytime, any place. Bro, hit me up if I break my leg, if I break my arm. Hit me up in the hospital. I will drop everything to drop you, son. Nick Fuentes, please take me up on this offer. I'm gonna clip this. Any time of the week, any day, knock on my door, 4 a.m. Let's do this, Mr. Galoshes. Let's go. What the fuck you wearing rain boots for, man? That's a Kanye West tip. That's Kanye West, bro. That's Kanye West telling his ass to do that. Oh, you should wear galoshes, bro. Shit's hot. You look real cool. Looking real cool. Where you going? The swamp?
Hey, don't fucking touch
You just walk away.
Just walk away, Fuentes. God damn. It would be the biggest gif in the world for Nick Fuentes to agree to fight me. So of course we got to cover, what does Nick Fuentes have to do with the insurrection? This is like by insurrection, it's also subtitled "What's Up with the Fascists?" Equaldari. So I got your smart ass comment covered in my little animated banner. Are you happy? But no, this is a general observation of the insurrectionists. Okay? This is all the circle that surrounds January 6th. Are you okay with that? Production notes from the fucking chat. I love it. I love the production notes. Thank you. Taking note on that. Okay. Okay. All right, so we got to talk about Flumpy Tumpy and, of course, the CNN town hall. We got to talk about it. We're also going to cover Anderson Cooper's comments after, because there's a lot of lefty backlash about the interview, and I have some comments about that as well. But we do need to, I figured we would just do, instead of listening to it back and forth, apparently a lot of streamers got DMCA'd while they were streaming it. I totally forgot that it was even happening. I was streaming, but I was streaming the fundraiser for Ukraine. I didn't even know Trump was doing a town hall But apparently it was a good thing that I didn't stream it because CNN was hitting the DMCA button real fucking hard. So actually what I should do is, let me just get a little beat here. Just a little something real low. I'm talking super low, right? As low as possible. Just get a little grumble or something happening there. And I just figured we'll just go over all, a few of the falsehoods. It's almost literally impossible. That's a little distracting. It's almost literally impossible to catalog and call out every single falsehood and lie when Trump talks. So this is, I don't know if we'll get to the whole 10 minutes here, but it's actually quite an effort to go through and say, okay, well, this is a falsehood because of this, all that. The insurrection. What a show, the insurrection. Here we go. We know you're wishing we'd go away, but the insurrection's here to stay. Insurrection, fascist time. I love it, man. R.I.P. Mel Brooks. R.I.P. to a real one. Man, Spaceballs, huh? How about that Spaceballs?
Many of the things he said, of course, were objectively false.
Actually, what will help me with the DMCA bots is if I speed this up a little bit, and people might like that too. So,
Or into falsehoods even from the get-go. CNN Sarah Murray joins us now. Her job tonight is fact-checking. Sarah, I'm not going to ask you to fact-check everything he said that was false because we only have a couple more hours. But what strikes you?
Well, look, I think one of the things off of the top was that we heard.
Oh, she's speaking really. she's already at 1.5. All right, let's slow her down a bit.
Former President Trump again say the election was rigged and talk about ballot stuffing. And look, the reality is the election was not rigged. Biden won by more than 7 million.
There were dumps. Do you remember the dumps? Do you remember the mules? There were hundreds of mules, several thousand. Dumps and mules. Man, this is fact.
Votes, and that ballot stuffing claim, that was also bogus. Here is Trump's false claim on this tonight.
A lot of the people in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened. That was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it.
Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on.
Yeah, did you go True to the Vote?
Camera on government cameras.
Yep,
where
the dumps.
They were stuffing ballot boxes.
Dumps.
So with all of that, I think it's a shame that what happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country.
I'm going to do this from now on, guys.
There is just no basis for this claim. It is a lie. We have heard Trump claim before that there was ballot stuffing by election workers in Georgia. It has been debunked, including by Republican election officials in Georgia.
Well, those people are rhinos, and anyone else that isn't a rhino is a liberal, and their opinions don't count. So there you go. I mean, the logic is really simple, okay? Okay? There were dumps. There were dumps. Okay, CNN.
There's no sign any illegality like this occurred on a large scale, and multiple former Trump officials, including Trump's own former Attorney General Bill Barr, have said there was not sufficient fraud to change the outcome of the 2020 election, Jake.
Yeah. You know what is interesting? If Trump actually got exactly what he wanted, he still would have lost. That's the funny thing to me, is that he's all crying about all these, these states that, were kind of close, and I just needed 1,000 votes. If he had actually just literally gotten everything that he wanted, he still actually would have lost. The electoral vote still beat him. So I mean, it's this. Have you ever been a battered wife? No, but have you ever been in an abusive relationship with someone who's gaslighting you? And you'll see him making out with somebody at the party, or, he fucked your sister and you know it, and he's just denying it. Oh, it didn't happen. Oh, it didn't happen. I mean, that is what is happening to us as a nation on a grand scale. I mean, Trump is literally gaslighting us into just not believing our lying eyes. It is ferociously simple, actually. And some guys like Trump are just really, really good at it. And he's really, really good at this. Thank you, Little B, for the follow. Appreciate it. Love the name.
True the Vote group is a group of unserious right-wing activists. It is not
you're
some
a
sort of objective election board.
Yeah, but you're a liberal.
It's amazing to hear them cited as some sort of source. Trump also claimed he offered to send troops to the Capitol on January 6th, but
Nope.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi turned him down. I don't think that's true.
Nope.
Sarah?
There's no proof
No,
of that.
not the case. I mean, Trump has tried to blame former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi for the violence on January 6th. He's falsely claimed he ordered the National Guard to the Capitol.
Pelosi.
So here's Trump's attempt to rewrite history tonight.
Chris Miller wrote a book, and he's a
I agree,
fantastic
Ken
guy.
Goblin.
And he was ready to go. They turned him down. If you look, the mayor of Washington, D.C., lovely lady, she said, we don't want it. We don't like the look. Nancy Pelosi said, oh, we don't like the look. If they would have had I offered them 10,000 soldiers.
She said that?
It could
When?
be 10, it could be more, but I offered them specifically 10,000 soldiers. If they would have taken 500 soldiers, you wouldn't have had the problem. They turned it down.
Here is the reality.
There's no proof of that, dog. There's like literally no proof of that anywhere, but that is made up out of whole cloth. Wow, that is, I mean, there's not a shred of truth to that.
The House Speaker is not in charge of Capitol security. That's the Capitol Police
Because
Board.
there was a camera in front of Nancy Pelosi the whole ass time. We saw it during the January 6th committee hearings. We watched every single one from beginning to end. Yeah, that's how big of a freak I am. You betcha we did. And there was all that footage like of camera right in front of Nancy Pelosi. She's like, what the hell's going on? What the fuck? You know, Chuck Schumer standing over there, fucking Mitch McConnell over here, you know? Like, what the, you know, and then Trump's like, oh, she didn't, you know, it is, I mean, the reason why he needs to double, triple, quadruple down is that if he accepts fault, or if he accepts any of the narrative, which is reality, if he accepts any of reality, which challenges his narrative, the whole house of cards falls apart. And he understands that if he continues to double down and triple down on this narrative, there are a very tight group of several million Americans that will show up and vote and do God knows what else, right? It's this weird game that he's playing with America. Like I said, it's just like some weird spousal abuse kind of thing.
Oversees the Capitol Police and at the time of the riot would have approved requests for National Guard assistance. And here is former acting Defense Secretary Chris Miller telling the January 6th committee that he was never given an order by Trump to have 10,000 troops ready to go to the Capitol on January 6th.
To be crystal clear, there was no direct order from President Trump to put 10,000 troops to be on the ready for January 6th.
There's just no evidence of this.
Yeah, that's correct. There was no order.
No, Pence had to give the order.
So, Jake, as you can see, these claims by Trump about January 6th.
What is this transition?
Sarah Murray, thanks so much.
And why is Tapper's mic twice as fucking loud as his guest? What is this embarrassing town hall transition? Stop with this. God.
For that, yeah, I'm sure you're going to have more fact checks for us because there were more lies than I could count. Said by the former president this evening. Let's talk about
what's going on with the
one
sideburns,
of the
Tappy?
Politically more impactful decisions of his presidency to put 3 conservatives on the Supreme Court that would ultimately overturn Roe v. Wade.
Oh, Dana.
And what he had to say about that tonight.
Dana.
Stephen Collins was trying to get him to say whether he would sign a national abortion ban if he were reelected. He would.
Dana Bash and Chuck Todd should just have a baby. That's what should happen.
Didn't really take a position, but here is what he said about overturning Roe v. Wade.
I consider the other side to be radical. Because the other
CNN
side under Roe v.
forever.
Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? I said, rip.
If you're foreign, one good thing to remember about United States Republicans is that every accusation is a projection. So when they're accusing the other side of being radical, they are basically acknowledging that they themselves are radical. Republicans can't help but think from they're egocentric. They can only think from their own perspective. So when they're making predictions about what their opponent is going to do, it's more of a projection of what they would do in their opponent's shoes. You see what I'm saying? So one good thing to remember, and I actually have an example of how this is also happening in the UK, but one good thing to remember is that for a Republican, every accusation is an admission of guilt. on who they are as a person, right? It really is projection. It really is. Of course, that's a generalization, of course, though, but it's really quite uncanny, okay? With the things that they accuse their opponents of, almost always they themselves are guilty of.
Roe v. Wade.
I consider the other side to be radical because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? I said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy.
Of course, I don't like. I need to say it, of course, but this is a massive hyperbolic comments. Most liberal pro-abortion states do not allow abortions past like the 3rd trimester or something. You can't rip a 9-month-old baby out of a womb, and I mean, like this. While it is legal in some places, in some very rare cases, I think there's like 1 or 2 of these happen a year, and it's usually happening because of a massive medical issue. I don't think it ever happens because the woman is just like, I want to abort it. I think at that point they say, well, you need to deliver the baby and then put it up for adoption, and it's so evil. It's so evil the way Republicans have weaponized, these very small edge cases, and they say this is what they want. They blow it up. It's a classic technique, but don't believe the fear mongering. Okay, 99% of abortions are happening before any of this stuff is happening, and when this stuff is happening, when like a 8-month, 9-month, almost fully term baby is being aborted, there's usually a goddamn good medical reason for that to be happening. I mean, like I said, I'm unsure if any of those 9-month, final trimester, late trimester abortions are happening because the woman just wants an abortion. I'm almost certain that almost all of those cases have to do with some, major medical issue. The baby has died in the womb. Other complications, basically it's just if the mother is likely to die, from giving birth, maybe the baby has grown too large. I don't know. There's like a million different reasons, right? Pregnancy is really scary and complicated, and it transforms the female body. And there's a million ways that it can go wrong. So it's just so disgusting. And like, does Donald Trump give a fuck? Does Donald Trump give a fuck about abortions and about, you know what I mean? This is all some cynical political tool by these fat, disgusting morons. They don't give a flying fuck. This has nothing to do with the fucking morals or any of that shit. They know that the stupids that vote for them care about this, made up fear, this made up fucking issue that they've created, and they know that they can get their vote if they appeal to them. That's what this shit is. It's so cynical and disgusting. God.
The governor of Virginia, from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute
I care so much about the people as they shit might go to
the radical people.
Obviously, he would rather talk about positions that Hillary Clinton never took than his own position, which is not supported by polls. Just to be clear, the things he was saying about Democrats there were not true. Hillary Clinton did not say anything about...
Point out the falsehoods about abortion, Tapper, you fucking Democrat bootlicker.
About ripping the baby out of the womb. Let's just talk about the politics of this. Overturning Roe v. Wade is unpopular with the American people. It's unpopular with the voters. He needs to win the presidency should he get the nomination. He doesn't want to talk about this. I don't know that he's found a way to talk about it.
No, that was pretty clear tonight. And understandably, there's so much to unpack in this town hall. But if he does get the nomination, which is still a big if, we're very, very early in the process here, he will have to face a Democratic president who has a White House and a campaign.
Look how this is all framed in the eyes of the horse race. Are we not going to talk about the danger to democracy? I mean, are we going to get to that point? Like this is all like just all about horse race shit already. They can't wait. They can't wait, dude.
Who looks at the 2022 midterms and believes that this is exhibit A, B, and C of why, yes, the economy is troubled, yes, that there are questions about Joe Biden, but they still believe that the abortion issue will drive voters out to the polls to vote for Joe Biden and to vote against Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's actually a loser for the Republican. I really overestimated how much of a albatross they've put around their own neck with this abortion issue. Woke Patriot has been pointing it out quite successfully in the Discord, making a very strong case that the Republicans might have really yucked their own yum here. They've had great momentum, but the Roe v. Wade situation might get enough independents and enough Republican women to either sit out. It's not like they're going to vote, Republican or Democrat, right? A Republican woman. But what they do is they just kind of politely sit out and they just don't mention to their husband, their disgusting, usually disgusting husband, how they voted, right? It's a little secret. Yeah, but it was Republican, right? Oh, I don't know. I'm so sorry. Oh, don't hit me. Okay, I'm being really, really mean to Republicans right now. I'm being such a stinky West Wing liberal right now. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to do that.
If you take all the other issues, maybe even all the other noise, and you put them aside, that is still front and center in voters' minds. And that answer, as you said, clearly.
It's part of the front and center abortion issue, front and center. I mean, the front and center issue is money and economics, and people want to buy a house. People want more money at their job. They want to be taxed less. That's front and center. The abortion stuff is like, once you're deep in the argument.
Clearly, if you are the Trump campaign, needs some refining. I don't know if they can refine it before the end of the primary season. Perhaps he will do it if he gets the general.
Not even refining. I mean, he said, I did that. And that is not what Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania swing voters want.
It seemed to me that the goal tonight for Trump was to reinforce to conservative voters that he supports the overturn.
Equal, Dari, you are so fucking wrong, dude. Holy shit, so fucking wrong. Fact is, there's hotties on both sides and MILFs on both sides. So, I think we need to learn how to cross the aisle on this one. How about a little bipartisanship with the MILFs, right? I have the fucking #1 political talk show on the motherfucking Twitch, folks. All right? What about the MILFs? Get some bipartisanship on that shit. You know what I'm talking about? Some bipartisanship, you know what I mean?
Roe versus Wade. Now, he did that to a point that might have actually produced quite a number of general election ads if he makes it to the general election. But I think that's what they were trying to do, because part of the context here is that in the weeks leading up to this, some of the reporting had been that Trump's aides were saying, or Trump was saying to his aides privately, that people like Ron DeSantis had perhaps gone too far with this.
I thought you were going to be calling out falsehoods. What the fuck is this fucking panel, man? Is this the rest of this, the panel? Okay, we're going to get to one more here. I don't mean to disrespect these black women and interrupt these strong black women here, and I'm not being facetious. I'm sure this woman is way more educated than I am. So let's actually slow it down out of respect and hear what she has to say. But I was hoping we get to more Trump stuff.
Did that, and that is not what Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania swing voters want.
It seemed to me that the goal tonight for Trump was to reinforce to conservative voters that he supports the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Now, he did that to a point that might have actually produced quite a number of general election ads if he makes it to the general election. But I think that's what they were trying to do, because part of the context here is that in the weeks leading up to this, some of the reporting had been that Trump's aides were saying, or Trump was saying to his aides privately, that people like Ron DeSantis had perhaps gone too far with the 6-week abortion ban. And when you saw Caitlin pushing him on the dates, would he sign a federal abortion ban? What weeks would he support for an abortion ban? He refused to answer those questions about the specifics. They wanted to double down on, I support overturning Roe versus Wade, without getting him tied down on anything concrete. That is, by the way, happening right now in the States. These are not hypothetical situations, and Trump would not give the public a clear answer about where he stands. And in that respect, from the Trump campaign, I'm sure that they viewed that as a victory in terms of what he went in wanting to do and how he executed it.
Well, the phrase that he kept using was, the Dobbs decision, he called it a great victory. He claimed, of course, that he had taken credit for it all.
I kind of got lost in what she was saying there. No offense to her.
So again, it's the Supreme Court that actually ruled, not the President of the United States.
Yeah, but he litmus tests the three picks.
He certainly did.
Yeah.
But the issue he was saying was it gave pro-lifers something to negotiate with. Now, why that is so disingenuous is, one, there were already trigger laws that were on the books that were created to be reinstated or implement new abortion-related bans should Roe v. Wade ever be overturned. Number two, of course, the negotiation he presumes does not happen because you have mifepristone now on really the virtual chopping block. You've got abortion bans under partisan majorities and state legislatures where there has been complaints that there's no room to negotiate on these very principles. And so this perception that the Dobbs decision by returning to the states somehow affords a greater opportunity to negotiate is, one, not what the Supreme Court really was thinking. Well, they may have thought about it, but they didn't actually anticipate well, but also not what's really happening on the ground. And I think we can't lose sight of that.
One other thing I want to talk about is his defense.
I must be stupid. I feel like I'm having a hard time keeping up with what these people are saying. I don't know. It just feels so in the weeds.
Of the people that were storming the Capitol, 4 Trump supporters died that day. Including one that was shot by a police officer.
They weren't Trump supporters. That was Antifa. Those are Antifa suicide martyrs who are trying to make the Republican Party look bad. It's so obvious if you just look at the dumps. It's all there.
Who was protecting House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Love the dumps.
He did his job. They were bursting in. Here is what he had to say about that woman who was led to the Capitol by Donald Trump's lies.
Ashley Babbitt.
Over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed.
And I gotta tell you, this is something I predicted on January 6th, that she was going to be turned into a martyr. But I gotta say how fucking frightening it is. I mean, we haven't had such a clear example of a seditious insurrectionist as we have had with Ashley Babbitt. I mean, literally storming the Capitol, literally targeting politicians who are sitting in the seats of government, likely chanting, "Hang Mike Pence" and other things. I don't know if we have actual footage of that. She was in the crowd that was saying those things. And she's been turned into a martyr by the Republican Party. Trump isn't the only one who have turned Ashley Babbitt into a martyr. He's not the only one. He's one of his one of the loudest voices for obvious reasons. But the Republican Party turning Ashley Babbitt into a martyr, along with Kyle Rittenhouse as well, into a martyr. We've already seen the ramifications of what happens when characters like Kyle Rittenhouse become heroes amongst a group of people. We've already seen it. I reported on it last time. There was the girl who was playing hide and seek, getting shot in the back of the head. Right, we have the people knocking on. I'm out of gas, man. Can I use your phone? Oh my God, we're gonna just start shooting through the window. These people that are interpreting stand your ground laws, license to kill. It's the exact. It's what happens when characters like Kyle Rittenhouse become normalized, and characters like Ashley Babbitt becoming normalized, becoming martyrs within this party, further reinforces. It's just and honorable to die for this authoritarian transition. Right, you will be honored. You will be honored by the highest voices, the highest chairs. Right, we'll put statues of you, in our halls. Right, if you if you make the ultimate sacrifice for this transition to authoritarianism, that's what Ashley Babbitt represents, and turning her into a martyr, is pretty fucking dangerous. Slippery slope. I don't know. You know what? Let's just ignore it and play Fortnite. Fuck this.
Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been
fuck this.
killed. And that thug that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her.
That was actually one of the most justified shootings I've ever seen in my life. He flashes the gun. They all go, gun. He's got a gun. They're breaking through the window, like the final barricade before you actually get to the fucking politicians sitting in the halls of government. The final door, not even like the front door, but the final fucking door before, like, the Congress people are right behind these guys. I've never seen a more justified shooting in my life.
At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her.
Did his fucking job. Did his job to a fucking T. To a fucking T. Fired one shot. One shot. Showed his gun very clearly. Showed his gun very clearly to the crowd. Fired a single shot. And ended the entire insurrection. I swear to God, I've never seen a more justified shooting in my life.
And she was a good person. She was a patriot.
One
There was
person
no
who was
reason.
there-
There was no reason.
So incredibly dangerous.
He went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
Okay, I mean, again, fact check. He did not go on television to brag about the fact that he killed her. He's not a thug. He's a police officer. He was completely cleared in the incident. He was protecting the House Speaker. Donald Trump, his lies and the lies of his minions,
It's really
incited this crowd.
dangerous.
They violently burst into the Capitol, and yet here he is.
Equaldari, I'm not going to accept that little pithy comment. This isn't a back the blue kind of situation, okay? Secret Service, Capitol Police have an obligation to protect the people sitting in the halls of government, okay? And they waited until the final barrier was breached. That's not bootlicking. That is not bootlicking, okay? That I support law and order. If you think supporting law and order is bootlicking, then fucking move to fucking Mogadishu. Move to Somalia. Get the fuck out of here, man, because I believe in law and order. I'm sorry. Dun 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 dun. Boom boom. I'm sorry. It's every time I hear it.
Taking the side of the mob.
Because he believes with his voters that he has convinced his voters to believe this, and now he's going to stick with it. Again, if any of you out there watching thought maybe he will pivot, maybe he will change, he will not change. He is who he is. He wants to minimize this day. And you heard Congressman Donald saying, "Why do you keep asking about the 2020 election? Why do you keep asking about January 6th?" We have to keep actually. If he is going to be the Republican nominee,
No, exactly.
or at least now,
We
the
gotta keep
formidable
talking
front
about
runner for
it.
the Republican nomination.
Yeah.
They tried to steal the country. They tried to steal the country.
Yes.
They tried to undermine the foundation
Listen
of
to old
everything.
Graybeard here.
We can talk about abortion. We can talk about taxes. We can talk about infrastructure. We can talk about swimming pools
Mr. Silverhair.
in America if you want to regulate those. You can't have an America without a democracy. Nothing else matters if you take away the foundation.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'm going to. So this is obviously very important to CNN, right? So obviously the next segment that we're going to have is let's have an analysis over the neoliberals' failures to hold these incredibly dangerous authoritarian fascists to task, right? For obviously trying to take the government by force, right? Let's have an analysis of literally the only entity standing in the way of authoritarian fascism. Let's make sure that they're doing their job, right? Because that's what CNN's going to do. No, we're going to lick the taint of Joe Biden and pretend like an 9-year-old man should be president for the next fucking 4 years. He's going to be in his 90s by the time it's up, right? If he gets another 4, are we really going to pretend like that's okay? And no offense to the elderly folks in my audience, who I have a great amount of respect for. But I think even they would agree that, I don't know, maybe, 80 touching 90 is a little too old to be running the goddamn United States of motherfucking America. That's the full title. I just love that. Who doesn't love that? Fucking amazing. All right, we got more. So Anderson Cooper came out with a, people are criticizing us, but well, here, I'll just let him make the argument here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's only a 3-minute clip. I have some controversial things to say.
Good evening.
Right? Because every fiber of my being wants to shit on this man. I mean, every fiber. But maybe I agree.
Good evening. Before we begin with tonight's broadcast, I want to say something about what we witnessed at last night's town hall. Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him.
I don't know what makeup they use or lighting, but his skin doesn't look human. Am I crazy? It looks artificial.
It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he's sexually abused.
I don't want to punch Anderson Cooper, but I want to have a real debate with him. I would like to have a real, he's Mr. Smart Guy, right? I would like to have a real debate with him about corporate news, his role in access journalism, and just, you know what I mean? I feel like when this guy retires, he's going to write some catty bitchy ass book about, all the the downsides, but homeboy's cashing in, He's cashing in. He loves this little image here, right? He's got the little bumpers with him like saving orphans in the war zone and shit. It's,
and defamed.
No.
As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president.
He is.
And according to polling, no other Republican is even close.
This isn't Ann Coulter, right? This isn't Dave Rubin, right? This is Donald motherfucking Trump, the goddamn leader of the Republican Party, without question. Ron.
That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country.
No, it isn't.
They are your family.
No, the fuck it isn't, CNN. We're going to get to my criticisms real quick.
Family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him.
That is, yeah.
Now, maybe you haven't been
exist.
paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything,
fault is that,
it showed
Cooper?
it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away? If we all only listen to those we agree with, it may actually do the opposite.
Yeah, it's a fact. And maybe CNN could do some of that, right? You know what I mean? Like I said, when's the last time these guys have they're so busy cupping the Democratic Party's balls for fear of making the Democratic Party look bad because that might, elevate the Republican Party. It's like, you guys should really listen to some opinions that are kind of uncomfortable. Yeah, I think CNN should listen to some opinions about, how long it took you to get rid of Chris Cillizza. It took the entire fucking, president of the company to get forced to step down to get rid of Chris fucking Cillizza. Let's do a cooking show with Chris Cillizza. That was the idea. God damn it. All right. That's not very nice, carbon emissions. So I guess you're proud of contributing to global warming. That's like your personality, that you think pollution is cool. Cool, bro. Pretty cool, bro.
Lies are allowed to go unchecked, as imperfect as our ability to check them is on a stage in real time. Those lies continue and those lies spread. If you're angry or upset, I understand, but you have the power to do something about it. You can actually get involved.
Yes.
You can make a difference, whatever side of the aisle you're on.
It's a
After
three-step
last
program.
night, none of us can say, I didn't know what's out there.
Hey, this is I'm reusing a Tim Hortons cup. This coffee was made by my beautiful wife. Okay. Oh, guys, did I piss off the Nick Fuentes crew? Are you guys groypers
out there? I didn't know what's coming.
Let's see here. Okay, and it cuts off. Yeah, so let me get to my comments here. Hold on. I'll get to you. Hold on here. Always catches me off guard when someone from D-Live wakes up. There we go. They're double teaming me, folks. They're double teaming me. Ouch. My ego. My poor ego. They're coming after me. Someone help me. It's illegal to be mean to me. It's illegal to be mean to me. Did you guys know that? Joe Biden passed an executive order that says it's illegal to be mean to me. No, but back to Anderson Cooper here. Look, he says, what do you expect? Do you want to, we can't talk to this guy? And I agree with that. But here's the thing. CNN, why do you have an audience? Why did you have to pull a bunch of fascists from some fucking sewer, right? You had to scrape together a fucking audience full of rabid fascists that fucking love Donald Trump. The audience is totally not necessary. We got to cut the audience out. And you also needed, a person who is willing to hold Donald Trump to task a little bit more. She just sat there and politely let Donald Trump walk all over her. And the reason why you do that is because of access. CNN would really, really, really like another Donald Trump interview. So let's not burn him to the ground. And they would never admit that either. Fact is, though, is that if Donald Trump wanted to have a conversation on the News Underground, I would gladly do it. And that's, for any of these right-wingers, they want to come talk to me, that's great. You want to have a debate? Yeah, okay. We'll have a debate. I'll master debate all over you. That's disgusting. Gross. All right, moving on. But that was my thoughts about Anderson Cooper. Is that he's kind of right. We kind of do need to talk to him, but he's right and he's also wrong because he's defending the way CNN did that interview with Trump. And it's like, no, you don't have to, take him to task. Hold him to this shit. Well, how come you didn't have a fact checker right there? Oh, hey, the statement that you made 2 minutes ago, we went through, we did a thorough fact check and found that it's completely false. Do you have anything to say to that? You're really terrible. It's, bit by bit, little piece by little piece. This goes back to what I'm talking about when it comes to these insurrectionists and it comes to these right-wingers. They are setting up a system, an undemocratic authoritarian system, piece by piece, slowly at a local level, right? The whole coming to the school meetings is part of that plan, right? All these right-wingers showing up to all these school board meetings, causing all kinds of chaos with their QAnon shit. That's part of this plan. It's not just school board meetings either, right? They're showing up everywhere they can. They're getting elected anywhere they can. Especially if it's like just like a sheriff, like a local sheriff or something, really easy to run a quick campaign, get voted in, and then you have a out and proud QAnon, QAnon following politician, right, who's now in charge of stuff at a local level. And that creeps up. So here's I show these every single stream. I show examples of this every single fucking stream. So here's another example. In Texas House, GOP Rep Matt Schaefer's bill, HB 20, will empower vigilante militias, including Proud Boys and Patriot Front, to set up checkpoints in any county to stop people of color and ask them for immigration status. What is this? This is local Texas government empowering extremists to enforce their version of totalitarianism. Very, very, very dangerous. We see this in Iran with the so-called morality police. Literally assholes that have been deputized by the government to harass women for not wearing the hijab. Just imagine the Nick Fuenteses of the world with a little badge running around telling women that they need to be more modest. How much joy would that give a character like Nick Fuentes to be able to do that legally? The law has empowered me to tell you that you should be covering up your booty shorts. I see way too much of your booty. I see 1/4 inch of your booty, and that's actually illegal. You think it can't happen here, and then they pass a fucking law that allows them to do these things. Please, for the love of God, recognize that this is a legitimate issue. They are dissolving democracy. We are a good time without you saying gerrymandering. Very cool. I mean, gerrymandering is now they've gerrymandered as much as they actually can. There's very few places where they can gerrymander anymore. It's not just gerrymandering anymore. They're listening to Steve Bannon, who is saying, get in there at a local level and start changing things. Get in there and be nakedly partisan and be proud of it. And they're doing it. And meanwhile, what are the liberals doing? Having debates over there, the serfs, having a big debate with Tim Pool and jerking myself off. You should be having a big ass march. Serfs. No one gives a shit. No one's going to give a shit about your fucking debate with Tim Pool, when they're deputizing assholes to check black and brown people's fucking papers.
In Dallas, they could shut.
Now try to stay awake for this, because this is how it happens. This sleepy ass committee bullshit is how it happens.
So these units, they could set up checkpoints in Dallas. They could set up checkpoints in East Texas, in Cook County, Fort Worth, right? Nothing in the bill limits that.
Exactly. I mean, the language in the bill, it has this sort of this phrasing of, whatever will push the mission forward, right? And again, checkpoints, that's really problematic because, again, then people without status may avoid going to the hospital because they fear having to go through a checkpoint and face deportation.
That's a really good point. They could set up outside a church. Like, for example, we have a heavy immigrant population in Dallas that attends Our Lady of Guadalupe, about 11,000 people.
Look at the jackasses that were deputized to strap up and patrol the border, between Texas and Mexico, and the disasters that came from that. People getting shot up. These absolute, good old boys out there. Oh, I can't wait to shoot someone. Yep. Next illegal I see, I'm gonna pop them.
Every Sunday, they could set up outside the church in Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. And ask people for. Not even arrest them, but just ask them for immigration status, right? Because I'm always interested in the interplay with the Papers, Please bill that was SB4 from a couple sessions ago by the same author, and then this bill, right? So you could have these units of civilians.
Don't fall asleep.
That with not the same kind of training as troopers outside of the chain of command.
Just a bunch of Kyle Rittenhouses, man. Just a bunch of Kyle Rittenhouses. I'm just here to protect property. Oops, shot you in the back. Self-defense. Yeah, they do. Equaldari, yeah. Yeah, and they want to give them the right to be strapped up and, Oh, they can't wait. They can't wait. I mean, a lot of this is a lot of the language, a lot of what we're seeing, from the most bellicose people is like this staging to prepare for violence. Get ready to, shift into a more violent lifestyle. Republican frontrunner for Republican frontrunner for North Carolina governor attacked civil rights movement. So many freedoms were lost. We have a black Republican shitting on the civil rights movement, flipping the script and gaslighting and saying the civil rights movement was actually a massive loss of rights for African Americans. Robinson baselessly claimed that the civil rights movement was a communist plot to, quote, subvert capitalism and use, quote, to subvert free choice and where you go to school and things like that, unquote. Robinson made many of the comments on the podcast Politics and Prophecy. Okay, says it all, doesn't it? With host Chris Levels on Freedomizer Radio. Oof. A station whose slogan says, Freedomists, freedomizing freedom. Wow. Levels is a conspiracy theorist who has shared 9/11 truther posts on Facebook. Uh-oh. I must agree with him then. Called the Olympics an Illuminati event. Oh, shit. We need this one, bad boy. Okay. Illuminati event from Satan. And shared posts saying Jews control nearly everything in society. Boy, I wish. Every Jewish person I've ever met, I've met a lot of Jewish people in my life, and a grand majority of them are very successful, smart people. You know, I'm just starting. You know what? Let's do it. Let's just let them run the country. Let's let them run the world. Let's give them something to cry about. Jewish supremacy now. Is that somehow that's
cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks?
Somehow that's right. That would be anti-Semitic too. Somehow. All right, moving on. Manhattan Supreme Court judge has ordered Trump to sit for. This is great. It's fucking great. Please tell me there's going to be cameras for this. Please. I want to do a artistic stream where if there's a camera, if there's footage of this, I'm going to find the raw footage and just play it unedited, uninterrupted, unmolested, of just him sitting there being lectured. Listen to this. Has ordered Trump to sit for a lecture on how to keep his mouth shut and not post evidence from his criminal case on social media. He has to do this. Please record this. Please, God, please record this. Please. I am begging the universe to give me access to this footage. I won't say a thing. I'm not going to say a fucking word. I'm just going to stream this and then end the stream. That's it. Just him sitting there having to listen. All right, I have some poop at the end of our shoe here. I'm unfortunate. I'm not joking. Armed guards in schools, gender-monitored public, drone bombers reported. Well, Republicans have some odd ideas. And the thing is that they're so nakedly hypocritical. They almost never, they just avoid the conversation of hypocrisy altogether, because they're so nakedly hypocritical about everything, and so they just don't even really get into that argument. But anyway, moving on here a little bit to this tweet from Bob Woodward. Bob Woodward saying, since Donald Trump is suing me, I will reveal something I've never revealed before about a public figure. Now, this guy did like hours and hours and hours of interviews with Donald Trump. Like he did all kinds. Donald Trump just fucking spilled the fucking beans to a somewhat legitimate reporter, and got the inside scoop here. The scent barrier on his Depends TM, is that necessary? Is completely insufficient. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Donald Trump, and I'm not trying to make fun of people with medical issues who are incontinent. Okay, Trump is created his own incontinence issues with his addiction to 80s designer drugs, like Quaaludes and stuff, like the expensive, the good shit, the shit that Dennis Leary talks about, right? Fucking Quaaludes and other horse tranquilizers and shit like that. So he went nuts in the 80s as a playboy, buying up real estate everywhere. He fucked his guts up, and for the rest of his life he's had to wear diapers. That's a legitimate fact in the White House. And it's so funny, his supporters, Uncle Joe with the diapers, and like their king, had an intern specialized, for his, to change his diapers when he was doing his fucking Deal or No Deal or whatever the fuck his show was. You're Fired, Apprentice. He had a person specifically there to clean up his little poopsie messes. And here's Bob Woodward further backing that up. The man smells like I bet he smells like an actual porta potty. I bet he smells like a porta potty, dude. Is that liberal enough for you? Calling him a smelly poo-poo head? Wanted to show this article. I thought this was really good. You can read it right here. He actually does smell like shit, and his pants are filled with shit. Is that liberal enough for you? There is no fairy tale ending to an insurrection. Oath Keepers militia collapsing after leaders jailed. And I wanted to show this here because I wanted to just reinforce that we should not be satisfied with neoliberals not arresting politicians, people of a certain level. They got no problem with throwing, weirdos who showed up at the march. Okay, throw them under the bus. But Josh Hawley, I don't know. He's a politician. We shouldn't go after Josh Hawley. We shouldn't go after these politicians, right? Because that we might set a precedent. We might get arrested. We're untouchable. We have to reinforce this idea that politicians are untouchable legally. We can't cross that line. We cannot allow the neoliberals to get away with that. We can't. For the sake of democracy. For the sake of democracy. And here's why. Because it works. Listen to this. With Oath Keeper leader Stuart Rhodes cooling his heels in jail while awaiting a possible 25-year sentence for his plot to storm Congress on January 6 in an attempt to stop the certification of the 2020 presidential election that Donald Trump lost, the remaining members of the right-wing militia are moving on with their lives. According to a report from The Guardian's Mackenzie Ryan, new membership in the group is essentially non-existent, and the Oath Keepers' future is in doubt. As Ryan notes, researchers who monitor American far-right organizations said the Oath Keepers have, in effect, been decimated, with only a handful of chapters remaining. Holding these people to account, arresting them, because I'm pointing this out because, look, if you've ever hung out with a fucking neoliberal, the hand wringing begins, and we see big neoliberals like what's his nuts, the failed comedian. Oh God, I blanked him out of my goddamn memory. He's Bill Maher, right? We see this kind of neoliberal hand wringing when it comes to holding right wing politicians to account, and we saw this during the Bush-Obama era. When Bush's, was replaced by Obama, everyone was like, oh yeah, these motherfucking criminals are going to get investigated. And then Obama did one speech basically and said, yeah, basically we're not going to arrest anybody. We're going to look forward and not behind us. So look, if you've never hung out with a neoliberal, maybe you're like, what's the problem here? Of course we should arrest criminals. Neoliberals consistently make the argument that we shouldn't arrest criminals. That it's actually going to be we're gonna see a negative outcome from holding right-wing Republicans and right-wingers in general account to law and order. I'm telling you, look at Bill Maher and look what he's saying about some of these convictions. Hand-wringing neoliberal. I don't know if we're going too far. It works. It works, and all you have to do is follow the law. It's really insane, It's really insane. All they need to do is follow. These people are breaking the law. Hold them to account. No, I don't know. They're rich and powerful. Ooh, I don't know what that'll mean. Rachel Carroll Rivius, Deputy Director of Research and Analysis for the Intelligence Project at the Southern Poverty Law Center, claimed that 100+ chapters of Oath Keepers have dwindled to a handful, and quipped, I can tell you, I don't see as many Oath Keeper bumper stickers around. That's just someone's opinion. Rivius noted the arrest and jailing of Rhodes was the beginning of the end for Oath Keepers by suggesting Rhodes' conviction was akin to cutting off the head of the dragon, and that in turn has crippled their ability to add to their ranks. So because neoliberals will say, oh, well, there's no point in arresting him. They're just going to say it was, the deep state, and they're just going to make an excuse. And that doesn't matter. Of course they're going to say that. They're going to come out with their fucking excuses. Of course they're going to. Let them. Let them. Let them say whatever the fuck they want to say. Let them make up whatever fucking excuse they want to make up. You can't fucking make shit up when you're sitting in a fucking cell. That's real. You're not running from that reality. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but you're sitting in that cell, aren't you? Now, I'm not going to sit here and defend the criminal justice system as if it's like totally infallible and doesn't send people to jail unlawfully. But these people flaunt their criminality. Donald Trump was breaking the law day one as president. Emoluments clause. Day one as president, he's breaking the law. Neoliberals, ooh, I don't know. Robert Mueller, make sure you don't even talk about that in your little report. Don't even mention the emoluments clause. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, I don't know. Jimmy Carter, peanut farm, talk about that all day. Jimmy Carter, peanut farm, let's talk about that. Ooh, emoluments clause being, holding Donald Trump accountable. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh. That's how they act. And look how effective holding people accountable is. Imagine if Josh Hawley was in a fucking cell where he belongs. Imagine. She explained when something happens like January 6th, when things get out of hand, it pushes the everyday membership away from the organization itself. Not from its beliefs, but it definitely pushed them away from the Oath Keeper's name. Yeah, they're still racist assholes who want to destroy democracy. Warren Siegel, vice president of the Anti-Defamation League's Center on Extremism, was more pointed in his remarks about the demise of the right-wing militia, telling The Guardian, quote, "How do you win hearts and minds in this country? There's no fairy tale ending to an insurrection." Oh! Love it. All right, so here we go. I have the final bit of poop. Sorry. We're going to watch Rachel Maddow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, I need to explain myself here. I'm sorry. I'm going to watch a little Rachel. She's a rogue scholar. What? She's a rogue. She's very qualified. What's a Russiagate? I've never heard of this. What's Russiagate? I've literally never heard of this. Sorry. Okay, but no. She did a really good job of, she's got this $1 million team, right, that could do all this research for her, right? And they did a really good job of tracking the...
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Anti-Semitic support that the right wing has started to really... they're really starting to, get buddy-buddy, elbow-elbow with unapologetic anti-Semitic fascists. Sieg Heil fascists, old school, Hitler did nothing wrong fascists, right? Not even Steve Bannon, let's install a weird crypto-fascist authoritarianism, right? No, Sieg Heil and motherfuckers. This guy right here. You ever heard of this guy? His name is Gargamel. Yeah. Scary dude. But anyway, we're going to watch just a little bit of Maddow because she actually does a really good job of saying, look at these prominent right-wingers proudly platforming, buddy-buddying, and, bringing into government these guys that are just, literally oh, Mein Kampf is my favorite book. Those kind of folks. So, sorry, but she did a good job here, so I got to show it. I don't like watching Maddow either. You think I have fun watching this shit off stream? You think I'm having a great time? Eating ice cream, playing video games, and watching politics? No. I'm suffering.
Chief of Staff, recently, Chief of Staff to the Defense Secretary of the United States. If you had been the Director of Trade Policy at the White House, again, recently you had held that job. If you had been National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, and recently, not in some past generation, but just within the past few years, if you had been the chairman of the Intelligence Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, again, not a long time ago, but recently, if you had been the Attorney General of the United States recently. If you had had any of those...
Are we gonna hand wave these people in these powerful positions? Are we just gonna hand wave it? It's not that big a deal. Yeah.
Jobs in the very recent past, you'd think that you'd kind of be a hot ticket, right? You'd think that you'd have options. You'd be moving in impressive circles, maybe not for the whole rest of your life. The sort of impact of that highfalutin job that you had would eventually wear off. But at least while you were still only recently out of that very impressive, very high profile, very high end government, you could kind of write your own ticket. And you think you'd be moving in kind of rarefied air. You would think. Alas, this week, all of those people I just mentioned.
I'm sorry we're watching Rachel Maddow. I apologize.
Literally, the guy who was Attorney General of the United States and the guy who was Pentagon Chief of Staff.
Wow, look at homeboy the top left, man. Okay, bro. All right. Chill.
And the National Security Advisor and the White House Trade Chief, all the rest of these guys with these very highfalutin jobs from the last Republican administration. This week, all of them.
Michael Flynn, Peter Navarro, Devin Nunes, and Matthew Whitaker. If there was any justice, Kash Patel, that's a name I recognize as well. All of these guys should have been held accountable by the neoliberals. All of these guys should have, at the very least, seen some time. They haven't even been brought to court. They haven't even been, you know what I mean? They got could you maybe come to the January 6th committee? Maybe, please. If you ignore us, we won't do anything about it. Thanks so much. And the neoliberals are terrified to hold these seditious bastards to account. Some real scumbags. You scratch away at that, at that little facade, and you'll see all kinds of criminality that could be linked to them. I'm sure the FBI has files on all of them. Oh, I don't know. We can't do it. They're guilty as sin, but they got into the halls of power, so it's ruining the country. It's literally ruining the country. And once the Republicans have firmly installed themselves into power, the opportunity to hold these people accountable will be flushed away.
Are speaking at the same event in Miami, an event at a hotel owned by the former president. The event will include all those Trump administration officials, as well as the former president's adult son, Eric, the blonde one, and his daughter-in-law, plus a whole bunch of other Trump administration folks. And they will all be speaking at that same event alongside, I will interrupt myself here for a moment. If you don't particularly want to hear something that is rabidly anti-Semitic, or if you are watching with your kids and you don't want them to hear something like that, this is your chance to mute me for a moment. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to do that.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Okay. Here it is.
If you look what happened under the attacks in 9/11, again, all coming out of the same group of people that has done a very good job at hiding under the religion of Judaism. They use Judaism as a cover for what they're really doing.
These people are so elusive and slippery and cunning and capable.
I'm sure they helped engineer the takedown of Hitler.
Of Hitler. Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt his insanity. I mean, I was just going to point out that this shit is fucking this is antique anti-Semitism, man. This is right out of the 50s, 40s and 50s.
I'm sure they helped
30s, 40s,
engineer
50s.
The takedown of Hitler. Things that I see, it just makes me shake my head after what they've programmed us.
This evil cabal has been causing all of the chaos on the planet. People are going to learn a lot about World War II and Hitler and the Nazis. They're going to learn about Hitler was actually fighting the same people that we're trying to take down today.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Hitler was fighting the same people that we're trying to take down today. The Jews, the evil cabal, the Jews who did 9/11 and all the rest of it. I can't really believe they're going ahead with it. Media Matters, the watchdog and advocacy group, they've been reporting on this since February of this year. We started reporting on it in March of this year. So it's not like they think they could do this without people noticing, but apparently they are going ahead with it. This week, the Trump Hotel in Miami is going to host an event that features lots of Trump administration officials and Trump family relatives. And also this guy, that guy who you just heard, who says Hitler was fighting the good fight. The same fight that...
And don't give me that guilt by association bullshit. You know, at some point, you are the company you're keeping. You know, you are making some kind of... Especially... Look, it's one thing to, like, okay, be a speaker and there are people you disagree with, and then you make a statement about, I disagree with some of the speakers that are here. Here's why. It would take 30 seconds. But no, you're not doing that. You're taking selfies. You're like, oh, here he comes, that firebrand. He's going to kick some liberal ass. Right? It is, in effect, praising the messaging coming from these people. So don't give me that finger, well, you can't guilt by association. No. All right, this isn't just, oh, we were at the same restaurant, and that kind of thing. No. This is a tacit approval of these kinds of messages. These kind of messages.
We're all fighting now. In addition to everything you just heard him say, he also blames Jewish people for all of the presidential assassinations.
All of them.
Not just like JFK, yes, he blames them for killing JFK, but all the way back to Lincoln. Lincoln, he says, killed by the Jews. Also, William McKinley.
Wasn't Garfield assassinated?
They assassinate anybody who threatens their power. It doesn't matter if you're a U.S. president. They did it to McKinley. They did it to Lincoln. People think it was John Wilkes Booth. This was a Rothschild operation.
That is who's going to be speaking this week.
Man, let me tell you, as a guy in front of the microphone, right, with a webcam in my face, like, it would be so much fun to just sit here and do ass polls for hours, right? Rothschilds did it. It's fucking George Soros, the New World Order. I mean, how much fun would I be having the time of my life pulling this shit out of my ass, and hundreds of people coming in, not checking, just agreeing with me. I got lots of sources. I don't have to show them. Man, that would be fun. Man. She mentioned one more in a tweet who was also attending. She may mention the him here. Oh, really? Okay, sorry. We'll get back to it. Thank you for sticking around, everybody that's here, and thank you for being here, Oculus.
The Trump property in Miami. He speaks right before
it's the final video. The insurrection.
Trump's acting Attorney General of the United States, the bald guy there on the left. Right before you get his remarks, you'll get remarks from the guy who says the Jews killed Lincoln and Hitler had all the right enemies, and we got to finish the job for him. Right before the second day of the conference, or the other day of the conference, right before Laura Trump, the former president's daughter-in-law, speaks, and also Peter Navarro, who is the White House trade chief, right before they speak.
Traitors to the country.
The attendees at that event are going to be treated to a speech by this other guy who says that the Holocaust never happened, and it's actually the COVID vaccine that killed way more people than this so-called Holocaust.
How many people in here know that more people have been killed by the jab than were killed in the Holocaust?
More people killed by the jab than were killed in the Holocaust. He's also a featured speaker at the Trump Hotel in Miami this week. And lest you think he's just being, hyperbolic about the COVID vaccine there in a joking way, the way some of these people are wont to do, as I mentioned, Media Matters has been reporting on this planned event and these featured speakers for months now leading up to this event. And they actually went through the eye-burning trouble of looking at what else these featured speakers...
And these guys are actually a little bit more dangerous than actual Nazis, actually, because they have this fascination with the Nazi fascist aesthetic, right? But they don't have the willpower or the ideology behind it. So they shove their way in. They insist that we're in charge, like it or not. It's our way or the highway, and they have no fucking plans. The fucking fascists in Germany were able to build the Autobahn and revolutionize their military-industrial complex and all these things. But no, we have these failed sons and these fat slobs who are enamored with the aesthetic of fascism, who are insisting that they be put in charge. And then when they get in charge, they're just gonna take and watch everything around them catch on fire and fall the fuck apart. Oh yeah, the liberals, the Jews as they're taking and taking and taking. They you know, like they're going to be even more destructive and callous and cruel and brutal than even the old World War II fascists, because they're lazy. They're lazy. They don't fucking care. Right, so they'll do anything, drop bombs on them. You know, I mean, just the sky is the limit, because these are some of the worst human beings ever produced. Selfish, narcissistic, beyond cruel. Beyond cruel. Yeah, you know, a woman. How do you tell? How do they sleep at night when they set laws that say a woman has to be a certain level of dead before that they're willing to do an abortion that will remove a dead baby from their womb? Oh yeah, well she's not suffering enough. We got to make sure the suffering level is just this high. Then we'll give her a life-saving procedure. The cruelty will know no end. Okay, if we allow these lazy authoritarians, these frightening fascists, to bully their way to to the seats of power.
At the Trump Hotel are bringing to the table for this event. And yeah, I don't think he was being hyperbolic in his Holocaust references there. This is what his self-proclaimed official social media accounts are posting online.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic
Yes,
remarks.
those are stars of David on the foreheads. You get the point. Also this one with the Jews as the puppets controlling the government and the media. And here, this is subtle. Here he is posting Hitler speeches. Literally Hitler speeches. Literally exclaiming about how excited he is to have this footage of Hitler warning us about the Jews.
Am I being hyperbolic? I'm being hyperbolic, right? Oh,
he has been hired as a
liberals say
featured
everyone's
speaker
fascist
for the big Trump Hotel event in Miami this week, alongside all those Trump family members and Trump senior officials, and alongside the guy who says the Jews did 9/11. The former president's adult son, Eric, has been traveling the country. In particular, all the Trump, a lot of Trump family members and Trump administration officials have been part of this thing. But Eric Trump in particular has been traveling the country doing versions of this roadshow with these rabid anti-Semites. And this week, that roadshow arrives at the Trump family hotel, the Doral Hotel, Friday and Saturday this week. This past Friday, just 3 days ago, the former president himself made a surprise video appearance in Budapest, in Hungary.
Yo, is this? Are we in the fucking Hunger Games?
Made a surprise.
We're in the fucking Hunger Games. She's one set of shoulder pads away from being straight out of the fucking Hunger Games.
Video appearance in Budapest, in Hungary, at a CPAC event. Do you remember CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference? They just held another CPAC event in Hungary because CPAC now regularly wants to kiss the ring of the...
Fascism is an aesthetic, and this new MAGA-style politics is this modern fascist aesthetic, a template that's being applied across the world. Canada, UK, Hungary, anywhere where it can get some grip, some traction, right? It's the new modern style fascism, this MAGA politics, and we're seeing this template followed all over the world.
The authoritarian right-wing leader of Hungary,
Look at the
named
messaging.
Viktor Orban.
Look at the messaging.
The history of this is great, right? The first CPAC event with Viktor Orban was just August of last year. And that was an amazing thing because Orban last July had just given a speech where he railed against race mixing. He said there should be no race mixing, and in his Hungary, there would be no more race mixing. His anti-miscegenation speech was so alarming that one of his own top advisors resigned from the Hungarian government, saying, quote, "The speech you delivered is a purely Nazi diatribe worthy of Joseph Goebbels."
But I'm the one being hyperbolic. He was cool. The guy was cool with him. He was a big member of Orban's government. He was cool. And then, okay, you went a little too far.
Orban did not apologize. He gave that speech in July. And then in August, CPAC invited him to speak to the U.S. conservatives in Dallas. They were ecstatic. They gave him a big standing ovation. And now CPAC holds events in Hungary every year, apparently, to continue to honor him.
All right. Then she's going to get into right-wing violence and everything. I'll save you that. If you want to see the whole thing, it's right here. The whole Mad Out clip. If you want to catch the end here, it's right there. But there you go. Further, like I said, the point that the reason why I made you suffer through that is that it reinforces what I'm talking about. It's happening. It's happening right in front of us. We need to stop it. The only way to stop it is by replacing the neoliberals with progressives who are actually going to stand up. Because how many decades, can someone in the chat, if anyone's watching, how many decades have we been begging neoliberals to govern? How many? 2, 3? You know, we finally started noticing, you know, after Clinton was done that, you know, these guys aren't, you know, they're no longer governing. They're just running to the right. We can't allow the neoliberals to hand over democracy to these authoritarians. We have to do something about this. We do. People that are woke, people that are paying attention. They're stomping all over us. They're doing everything they can to squeal away power, and they're doing it right in front of us. Are we really going to wait for them to just, you know, okay, it's done, to finish their project, right? Are we really going to wait for them to solidify power before now we're going to stand up and fight back? Remember, step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization in your area. And step 3, put in the work for your citizenship. It is in peril. Your liberty, your citizenship is in peril. I'm not being hyperbolic. Fuck off if you want to brush this away and ignore it. There's nothing hyperbolic about this. You're in danger. Do something about it. Thank you, YouTube.